Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. I am first reporter of the groups. The aligned topics of my discussion this morning are defining what is popular culture, the impact of print media in popular culture, and some implications of print media in popular culture, and the introductions of print media. So to start with, let's define first what is popular culture.
Kindly read. Popular culture refers to the collectivity of beliefs, attitudes, practices, and other phenomena that are adopted by man depending on his ability to learn and transmit knowledge to the next generation.
So popular culture, when we deal about popular culture, it has a broadened ideas, perspectives, and understandings. It depends how a person understand the meaning of popular culture. But accordingly, popular culture is a collectivity of beliefs, attitudes, practices, and other phenomena. So when we say about collective of beliefs, this pertains to the belief of the people that somehow they embrace and practice, they embrace and maintain that specific belief. For instance, when a person gets sick and he or she cannot easily recover, then eventually he goes to the cold albularyo just to get treatment and easily be cured. So this belief is very common here in the Philippines. On the other hand, when we say about attitudes, this refers to the attitude of the person or the behavior of the person that he or she embrace and that is natural with them. So in addition, when we talk about practices, this talks about the how the culture is being practiced or embraced by the people. For instance, here in the Philippines, we have the common practices that we still use until this generation. So just for instance, for saying po or opo and responding the elders. So these beliefs is still existing at this generation.
So now let's proceed to the impact of print media in popular culture. Kindly read. One of the most important barriers in the production and expansion of the popular culture is the popular print media. These publications send images, views, and perception to the mind of the reader, and they form various interaction in the behavioral ways of the readers by means of them.
You know that print media can spread content and trends within the society through publication. For instance, when one celebrity is being covered in some newspapers, and we all know that a celebrity has a huge of fan base. So a lot of people will buy a newspaper just to get a copy of their idol. So through images, viewers can develop critical thinking that creates the perceptions towards a culture that is being published. So if a culture or if a trend is being published, so it creates a critical thinking for people, because if they saw the specific publication, so they create critical thinking through judging, criticizing the trend that is being published. So for instance, if they don't like the trend that is being published in any print media, so they were going to criticize, they were going to judge. So the print media that is being published is not good. It's not good for everyone, or somehow that is good for everyone. So by doing that, so they develop their critical thinking. So when a culture is being published, then it creates interactions with people, since it gives a freedom to criticize a culture. So just like what I've said earlier, that it develops critical thinking, they they were going to criticize specific print media that is being published. So now let's proceed to the some implications of print media in popular culture. So first we have the aesthetic standards.
Kindly read. Print media sets the aesthetic standards among American society. Fashion magazines have been the popular determinants of fashion trends in the country.
We all know that America is one of the country that is very well known for fashion magazine. On 1867, fashion magazine began in the country due to its popularity of fashion magazine in America. So, the print media provides aesthetic standards just to improve the quality, and of course more people will love and buy or any publications of print media. So if a specific print is good in quality, so more people will love to buy and to have any of print media. Second is the selfish lifestyle.
Kindly read. The print media is also largely responsible for advocating a selfish lifestyle by promoting the exploits of celebrities, sports stars, and musicians without considering the negative impact to the society.
Because of the impact of print media in popular culture, it promotes selfish lifestyle where they exploit celebrities, sports stars, and musicians without considering the negative effect to the society. For instance, in a magazine that contains a sexual appearances, then it will publish, then eventually seen by the people, then it creates a negative mindset that is not good or appropriate for the society. So that is selfish lifestyle. Third, transformational agent.
Kindly read. The current print media is a transformational agent to social and economic changes in the world. It has both negatively and positively affected human perception toward culture.
Through the use of print media before and its effect, it shapes the society and economic growth. Because of the people who are adapting the popular culture, they tend to buy any print media just to see the latest trends in the country. By doing so, it will increase the economy as well. For the last implications of print media in popular culture is consumerism.
Kindly read. Popular American culture embraces the print media, which has transformed the advertising industry and promoted consumerism. It does this by influencing people's perception towards a product, hence determining their consumption of the same.
Since Americans are embracing print media, so their advertising industry is increasing rapidly because of the people that relying on the print media just to get or any updates about the latest trends, latest issues within the country. So it promotes consumerism. So now let's proceed to the introductions of print media. What is print media? Accordingly, print media is a form of publishing that relies upon and paper as its medium. So one example of print media that is newspaper, magazines, what else? Coupons, and etc. It is a form of mass medium in which it shares the news on concerning pieces of information and printed form of publication. So for example, in newspaper, in newspaper it contains news. So that is the example of print media. So before, people rely on the newspaper just to get or any updates about the latest issues about their country. Third, it is the oldest means by which people still share information across an entire group of audiences. So, a while ago that print media it creates a interaction. So here in print, yes, it is evidently that print media creates interactions because of the latest news or issues. So since people will buy a newspaper just to get any update, so they are having interaction. So next, the contribution in providing information and transfers knowledge is remarkable. So when you read in a newspaper, when you read news, so of course you get knowledge, you get informations. It's either issues. So by doing that, you improve or you develop critical thinking. And of course, when you read that news, of course you're able to get knowledge. For the last, even after the advent of electronic media, the print media has not lost its charm of relevance. So accordingly now, that although that we have the electronic media before, but the relevance of the print media is still existing, and was not vanished because of the relevance, and it is affordable. So, and of course, people will have to buy any newspaper because somehow they can able to read the news and able to share with their society, and of course they were able to get knowledge about what they read. Okay, did you understand? Is there any question? If there's none, I will give the floor to the next reporter. Once again, good morning everyone, and thank you.
Good day everyone. So now I am the second reporter of the continuation of our topic, which is implication of popular culture. So the first reporter, Mr. Egot, already discussed the popular culture and the implication of print media on popular culture. So, a short overview, he already discussed the aesthetic standard, the selfish lifestyle, transformational agent, and consumerism. He already discussed, or he already introduced to us about what is print media. So, when we say print media, it is a form of publishing that relies upon pen and paper as its medium. So, it is also a form of mass media in which it shares the news on concerning the pieces of information via the printed forms of publication. So, I have here the different examples of print media. So first we have newspaper. So this is a Korean newspaper. So it contains information or advertisement, and it contains news from Korea. Then they discuss, or they wrote here that what are the different, or what are the current news in this time. So next example of print media is the books. We have different categories of books. So first we have a textbook. So this is the example of a textbook, and the encyclopedia textbook. So it is the example of encyclopedia or a dictionary textbook. So a dictionary books. Then we also have a catalog. So this is one of the example of print media. So for now, let's discuss about the invention and history of printing press. So when we say print press, it is a machine by which text and images are transferred from movable type of paper or other media by means of ink. So the movable type and paper were invented in China. So it is the oldest known extant book. So printed from movable type was created in Korea in the 14th century. So according to my research, that printing press became mechanized in the Europe during 15th century. So I don't know, the first invented or created this printing press is the Korean. Is the Korean. They are the one who invent, or they are the one who introduced this kind of machine. So I have here a picture of printing press in a year and in a 14th century. So now we are going to discuss how does the printing press work. So the printing press it is worked by pushing paper against ink movable type of paper to transfer text and images from the type into the paper. So printing press, it is very important because it is very useful. It is a very useful tool for communicating and disseminating ideas on paper quickly and at a large of scale. So they use it to share ideas quickly and efficiently for the purpose of informing the people around current events and etc. So next slide is Johannes Gutenberg. So Johannes Gutenberg, he is the one who mechanized the printing press in a year of 15th century in Europe. So Johannes Gutenberg, he is a German goldsmith. Johannes Gutenberg is credited with the inventing of printing press around 1946. Although he was far from the first automate the book printing process. Next slide. The earliest mention of mechanized printing press in Europe appears in a Lowsit and Stanberg in 1939. So it was revealed construction of a press for Johannes Gutenberg and his associate. So Gutenberg press and others of its era in Europe owed much to the medieval papers press, which was in turn molded after the ancient wine and olive press of the Mediterranean area. A long handle was used to turn a heavy wooden screw, exerting downward pressures against the paper, which was laid over the type mounted on a wooden plate. So it was stated here that the first mechanized printing press was used in Europe and appears in Stanberg the year 1939. So it's revealed that the construction of the press for Johannes Gutenberg and his associate. Diba we all know that in Europe, Johannes Gutenberg are the one who introduced the mechanized printing press. So next slide. So Gutenberg used his press to print an edition of a Bible in 1455. So this Bible is the first complete extant book in the West, and it is one of the earliest book printed from the movable type. In its essential, the wooden press used by the Gutenberg reigns for more than 300 years. So with a hardly varying rate of 250 sheets per hour printed on one side. So the first or the earliest book printed from the movable type is the book of Gutenberg, which is entitled Gutenberg's Bible. So and the next slide is Johannes printing press. So this is the invention of Johannes Gutenberg, the printing press. So Gutenberg is the one who designed and built the first mechanized printing press, and he used it to print the Gutenberg Bible. So it was printed on 1455. So which is the one of the earliest book in the world to be printed from the movable type of machine. So this printing press is the one Johannes Gutenberg used to print the first or the earliest book in the world, which we call Gutenberg Bible. So they use the printing press. They use this to manufacture a large numbers of books relatively little cost so that the people can gain knowledge. So they can do discoveries and be literate. So we already know that this printing press is used to print just like the newspaper. So they use it to print for example a newspaper, so that the people before we all know that they don't have technology that they can easily acquire knowledge. So in that 14th century, they only use a newspaper by reading, so that they can gain knowledge, or they can be informed in the current issues, or in the current event in that time. So they also do discoveries. Diba we already know that in the newspaper, the people are some of the people can gain knowledge, or they can discover what are the things that happen in that time, or in the recent days of that century. And by this printing press, the popular culture can be spread to different places. Diba? We all know that printing press is used to print the different print media. So in that case, the popular culture also can be spread. So because diba, if that people have the print, for example, the newspaper, and that newspaper have different popular culture, or they introduce or they include the different popular culture in that time. So it can be easily go down to the different places, or to the different people. Then some of the people, we all know that some of the people, they can easily copy, or they already know how to use. We all know that one of the most important barriers in the publication and expansion of popular culture is the popular printed media. So these publications send various images, views, and perceptions to the readers, and they form various interaction in the behavioral way of the readers by means of them. So this is the reason why that printing press is very important on spreading, or how the popular culture can be popular in that different places. The culture, by it is also the printing revolution also contribute mightily to the Protestant reformance of the split apart from the Catholic Church. So they use the different print media to spread the different popular culture in the world. So now let's move on to the different examples of printing media. So first we have magazine, newspaper, books, billboards, posters, flyers, catalogs, coupons, periodicals, comics books, and postcards. So I am the one who will report or discuss the first examples of printing media, which is the magazine, and the rest will discuss by our groupmates, which is Miss Ilumbra. So now let's move on to the magazine. So magazine, it is also called periodicals. It is considered as medium that spread culture and nationalism. It is a French word which means storehouse. So in journalistic term, magazine is a collection of materials like stories, ads, poems, and other items that editors believe. So magazine is very familiar to us because we can easily find magazine here in Philippines or in our current places. So when we say magazine, it is also considered the mass medium that spread culture in nationalism. So next slide, popular magazine. The first magazine of the general circulation in the Philippines was probably the Philippine Magazine, published in 1905. So the magazine was not quite popular that time because it was published in English. So we all know no, that the American people, before the American evolution, we have the Spanish evolution or the Spanish era. So the Spanish era only teach us on the different Catholic or religious way, and on the different religious, that is the main kanang the Spaniard introduced to the Filipinos or Indios. So in that year 1905, the Filipinos or the Indios cannot understand, or they cannot really understand what are the English language. So in that year, even though that according to my research, no, that the Philippine magazine is the first magazine here in the Philippines, but it is not quite popular. So they cannot call it popular because it was written in English. Then before that, most of the Filipino cannot understand or they cannot read English. So it is not suit, or the mass not accept, or they cannot understand. So they cannot accept that magazine. Therefore it is not popular. So based on the slide, no, that it was published in 1905. So this magazine was not quite popular that time because it was published in English. So it is published in English. Then, as we all know that in that year, the Filipinos cannot really understand, or they cannot really understand the English language that time, because the teaching of English that time had only begun only 4 years earlier. So we all know that the American people, they are our first teacher in English, diba? So they are the one who introduced to us the English language. But it is only 4 years ago before this magazine published. So not all of the Filipino understand or speak in English. So this is the reason why it is not popular that time. So but it is the first it is the first magazine published in the Philippines. So next, perhaps it is the Philippine Free Press, which is called the first magazine, because although it was in English, it was printed in cheap newspaper, and eventually by the time it stopped publication in 1972. So based on the files that given by Sir Alimar, so the first magazine is the Philippine magazine. According to them, the Philippine Free Press is the first because it was written in even though it was written in English, but it was printed in a cheap newsprint. So we all know that the Filipinos before are not they are not the wealthy ones. So most of them are just Indios, or they in lower class of family. So they cannot afford the first magazine, which is the Philippine magazine, because it is cost it may be kanang mahal bitaw siya. So the first popular culture magazine in that time is the Philippine Free Press, because it was cheap and most people can acquire, or they can buy this print, they can buy this newspaper, and so that it is therefore it was considered as the first magazine in the Philippines. So was indeed read, and it was read by the majority of the English speaking Philippine public. So the reason why it was called popular magazine, because we already know that when we say popular, it is mass, or it was mass more people, or most of the people in that country, and in that specific area can they can read, or they can use that popular culture, or that culture. And that time the culture is the magazine. So when we say if there is a lot of people reading in that magazine, so we can say that it was very popular that time. So even though it was written in English now, but it is the year 1972 published, so it may be 73 years already that the English or the American colonized the Philippines. So maybe more not only few of the Filipinos can read or understand English, but maybe more, or they can the Filipinos before, they can already understand that that English language. So I don't know. So maybe in 72 years of teaching the English in the Philippines, so it is they can understand na the first the Philippine Free Press. So, but the real magazine would be in vernacular, so that the native or Indians can understand that magazine. So next slide. In 1923, the popular magazine was definitely the Liwayway, in which by 1941 has a circulation of 89,000 studies of the Liwayway poems, short stories, and novels. Interestingly enough would be literacy studies and not popular culture studies. So in 1940 and 1923, the very popular magazine in the Philippines was probably the Liwayway, because in 1941 they already circulate 89,000 books, newspaper, just like short story, poems, novels, and etc. So they already published an 89,000 print media at that time. So when we say Liwayway, it is a story about the modern and luxurious painting of Filipino emblem. So we have we have a strong desire to highlight and put on the front page of Filipinas. So that is the very popular magazine in that time. This is the oldest Tagalog magazine in the Philippines. So it is very popular in 19th century because the Liwayway, their essays, novels, short stories, poetry, and etc. are written in vernacular. So most of the people can understand, they can read. So this is the reason why it can be considered as popular magazine on 19th century. So they can on a year 1941 pa lang, they already circulated 89,000 of books or different kinds of literature. So they are very popular here in the Philippines because their publications in vernacular, they make that it was compatible with the language used in the different groups of people in the Philippines. So as I said earlier, that it was they are popular because they use a vernacular language. So di ba stated earlier that the true essence of being a popular magazine, it should be written in a vernacular language. I think that would be the end of our of my part. So next is the type of magazine and so on. My co-reporter Miss Ilumbra will discuss these different types of magazine and the rest of the printing media examples. So that would be all, and thank you, and I hope that you gain some ideas or knowledge about this specific topic. So thank you everyone.
Good day everyone, I am the third reporter of implication of popular culture, which is under the print media examples. So the second print media example is the newspaper. So for the most 20th century, newspaper was dominant mass media form of information sharing, particular in the fields of economics and politics. And it is also a publication containing news, information, and advertising. So for example, one example of the newspapers is the Daily Inquirer. People in the 20th century only uses newspapers to know what happened to their societies, because they only use that in a way of communicating or sending informations to the people, because they don't have any technologies, just like now that we have gadgets like cell phones, laptops, and also we have a website to for us to know our daily news. So people on year 2000 or in the 20th century only uses newspapers to gather more information on what happened on their surroundings and in their societies. So the next one, books. So books, it is a medium for recording information in a form of writing or images, typically composed of many pages. So books for centuries, books had been important source of both entertainment and education. So the first book is thought to have been invented by the ancient Egyptians, who used papyrus scrolls. So papyrus scrolls in the first centuries before Christ's era and Christ's era, papyrus scrolls gained a rival as a writing surface in the form of parchment, which was prepared from animal skin. So the word papyrus refers to both in writing support invented by the ancient Egyptians. So it says here that before Christ's era, so most people usually use papyrus scrolls because they don't have any books or any textbooks to use to gain more informations, just like our books today, which is the recommended curriculum that we should use to teach our students. So papyrus scrolls is their only way on how to give informations to schools. So papyrus scrolls usually use also in giving informations to the society. So just like an example, in the movie Beauty and the Beast, I think that the announcers use papyrus scrolls to give where the information is written in there, and then give their informations to the people, and to know what will happen or what will gonna happen. So that is papyrus scrolls, which is the rolled paper. That is their first books usually used in the ancient Egyptians. So we have now the three categories of books. So the first one is the textbook. So textbook, it is a book used for study subject. People use textbook to learn fact and methods about a certain subject. So when we say textbook, we can usually see these textbooks in the libraries or in schools, which these usually use for the students, where informations are in there, just like the basic mathematics, the new learnings. We have different textbooks just like science, math, English. So those are the examples of textbooks which we usually use every day, especially to the students. So the next category is the encyclopedia. So it is a book or set of books in which facts about many different subjects. So when we say encyclopedia, also is a reference or work compendium providing summaries of knowledge. So it is a thick book that we can see. So it is a kind of book which is there are a lot of informations that we we can gather. So we can always see this encyclopedia also in the library, in which if you want to know, to gather more informations on our certain topic, so we can also use encyclopedias. So encyclopedias are divided into articles or entries that are arranged alphabetically by article names or by thematic categories. So just like what I said, it is a thick book in which a lot of informations are in there. So it is a kind of like a dictionary, but dictionary is different because it is meanings. It has a meanings of words, but textbooks has a meaning of a certain topic. So that is about the encyclopedia. Next category is novels. So novels is an invented prose narrative of significant length and complexity that deals with imaginatively with human experience. So novels, I know that a lot of us can relate, can know what is novel. So novels is a kind of book in which it tells stories. We usually see novels, or we usually see these novels in mostly I think in a national bookstore, in which a lot of Wattpad stories are making it in a book. So ginawang book na yung mga Wattpad stories. So if that person prefer reading books than reading on a cell phone, so we can usually use these novels to read a lot of stories. So that is a kind of novel. So next one, we have billboards. So billboards are signs offered advertising signs that are plastered in public. It is a medium used by companies to advertise their products. It is a large outdoor advertising structure typically found in high traffic areas such as alongside busy roads. So we are now familiar with the billboards, right? So we can usually see this in cities just like Metro Manila, New York, so Times Square. So we can usually see billboards. So it is a sort of advertising product, but this is not just like newspapers, in which those traditional way of advertising your product, but this billboard is a 21st century way on advertising your products, in which you can post your product or the image of your product or information of your product on a billboard, in which we a lot of people can see, especially those in the cities. So a lot of people can see on what is your product, the benefits of your product, and how nice is your product, and also in modeling. So a lot of models we can see on billboards. So the next one, so we have now the poster. It is a large sheet that is placed either on a public space to promote something. So I know that all of you can see posters, especially during elections, because a lot of politicians will place their posters on the sidewalk or any public places to let them advertise, or to let people know that they are running for some positions in the government. So, and also posters is also a kind of advertising some products, in which just like advertising promos on a certain product. So that is some way on how you make posters, or how you use the posters. So the next one, flyers are handled advertisements that are typically distributed public places, such as on street corners or in a bus shelter. So flyers, so it is a small sheet of paper, or a small paper, in which it is given to the people, especially when you are in a mall. So there are a lot of people giving flyers to promote their product. So it is a handy kind of on advertising your product. So example, if they give discounts on every customers. They want to announce it to the public. So some of the people, some of the businessmen usually use flyers because it is handy. The next one we have now the catalogs. So catalogs are printed media that demonstrate and promote the inventory of a shop. They typically contain production photos, description, and pricing information. Many businesses use catalogs to showcase new products or seasonal offerings. So catalogs. So it is a kind of magazine or another magazines which we can usually see on the shops, just like parlors, in a Gucci or Louis Vuitton. So in a place like that, we can see catalogs in which we can see their products on that certain magazine or catalogs. So we can see what are their new products, what are their discounts, and also some comments or some references from the customers. So that is the catalogs. So the next one is the coupons. So coupons are a type of promotional discount offered by retail stores or manufacturers. Coupons are offered for a short period of time on a purchase of a product or services. So coupons, we can usually see these coupons on online shop, right? So I know that a lot of you use Shopee or Lazada, in which we can get coupons, especially if they have sales. So which is we have 10% discount if you purchase this amount of product, and or we have free shipping. So those are the kinds of coupons in which they give discounts or a kind of sheets or product or promotions that give discounts to every purchase of the product that you get. So the next one, we have periodicals. So it is a booklet often with illustration that issued a fixed interval or period, typically once a month or once a week. So these periodicals are just like an overall use. So this periodical is an overall use, I think, for the magazines, newspapers, booklets, books. So in which they have only a certain period of time on when to use. Just like example, newspaper. So we can usually see newspapers daily, right? So newspapers can those informations in newspapers are exclusive only for 1 day or 2 days or whatever. So and also catalogs. So those promotions, those discounts, those advertisements that we can see are only for a certain period of time. So that is periodical, a kind of booklet or a kind of book or magazines that is only available for a certain period of time. The next one, comic books. So are illustrated stories that tell a story through image sequence rather than paragraph form writing. So targeted at youth, they tend to feature superheroes. Characters include element of fantasy and science fiction. So comics, it is very common to us. Comics. So the first comic that in the Philippines is the Kengkoy. So those comics are only images with a little bit of dialogues or monologues of a certain character. So it is 20th century kind of entertainment for children, especially for those youth who likes to read or who likes a kind of entertainment on a book. So these comic books are famous on the 20th century because they don't have any technology or gadgets to entertain themselves. So that is comic books. The next one is we have now the postcards. So postcards are personal form of print media that are usually sent and seen between small group of people. So they are still popular with people who are traveling and want to send messages to their family. So postcards. So it is a kind of letters that is given or sent to your loved ones. So just like example, if you are in abroad or in different place, you want to give message to your loved ones. So these are common in the 20th century because just like what I said, they don't have technologies before. They don't have a faster way on how to communicate to their loved ones. Just like now, we have messengers, Facebooks to call and to text our loved ones. So before they have postcards. So actually there are positive and negative effect of postcards. So I think the positive one is these postcards is a way of communicating your loved ones, but even though you are afar, and it is also a way on letting to know your loved ones that you are still there to care for them, to give letters. So, and also the negative effect is it can be either lost in while traveling or while your postcards are sent to you, or is lost based on the address. So that is those are the negative and positive effects of the postcards. So, and that's all for my report, and thank you for listening.